All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.
And that is how to build a successful YouTube channel without ever having to show your face.
Right.
So, a lot of people out there might be thinking, well, how does that even work? Or, why would I even want to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a growing trend, and there are a lot of good reasons why you might consider it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack in this deep dive today. All those questions and
For
more.
sure.
We really want to look at, the nuts and bolts of creating a thriving YouTube presence, but doing it without that kind of like personal visual element.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like thinking about building a brand, but it's not based on you as a person in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's start by addressing that first big question that comes to mind. Why would anyone choose to go faceless on YouTube?
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things that comes up, time and time again is the desire for anonymity, right?
Oh,
A lot of people just aren't comfortable with the idea of putting themselves out there like that. Having their face and their personal life so closely tied to their content.
and to be honest, who can blame them?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, not everyone is a natural in front of the camera.
Right.
Like, I know I'm not.
Me neither. I mean, even after doing this for, however long, it still feels a bit awkward.
Well, for sure.
So you can imagine how much more intense it is when you're like the main focus.
Absolutely. And beyond that, I think there's also this really interesting idea that comes up, this desire to just shift the focus entirely onto the content itself. It's like saying, it's not about me, it's about the information or the entertainment or whatever it is that I'm creating.
Yeah, it's like taking the personality out of it in a way.
Exactly. And that can be really appealing for a lot of creators.
Yeah.
It allows them to really hone in on the craft and the quality of what they're producing.
Absolutely. And this is something that comes up in the discussions we've been looking at, this idea that going faceless can actually help you build a more creative brand.
Yeah. It's almost like taking away that personal element.
Yeah.
Allows you to be a bit more experimental and maybe even appeal to a wider audience.
Right. Because you're not limited by people's perceptions of you as a person.
Exactly.
So it's interesting, there are all these different motivations for why someone might choose this path.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at the types of faceless channels out there, it's amazing how diverse they are.
Yeah, you really get a sense of just how much you can do with this approach.
Definitely. So, one of the most obvious examples that comes to mind is gaming channels.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, think about it. You've got all these amazing gameplay videos out there with really engaging commentary, and you're completely drawn into the game itself.
Yeah, the personality comes through in the voice.
Exactly. And you don't even need to see the person behind it. It's all about the skill, the strategy, the excitement of the game.
And then you've got tutorials, which is a whole other world.
Oh, yeah. Tutorials are huge.
Yeah, I mean, anything from, tech tips to DIY projects to cooking.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you can learn just by watching someone else do it on screen.
Right. And a lot of times these tutorials, they just show you what's happening on the computer or, they're focused on the hands doing the work.
Right. It's all about the process and the instructions.
Exactly. And sometimes I think not having a face there actually helps you focus on what's being shown.
Yeah, it can be less distracting for sure.
And then, of course, you've got animations.
Ah, animation.
Oh.
That's where things get really interesting, I think.
Oh, yeah. The creative possibilities there are pretty much endless.
Right. I mean, you can tell any story. You can create any world.
And you're not limited by, real life constraints.
Exactly. And it's a really great option for people who might be, shy or uncomfortable being on camera.
And then the last category that comes to mind is voiceovers.
Oh, yeah. Voiceovers are everywhere these days.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You've got documentaries. You've got those, really popular ASMR videos.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about the voice, and the visuals are just there to kind of support the narrative.
Exactly. It's a really powerful way to connect with an audience.
So, we've talked about the why and we've talked about the what, so let's get into the how.
Yeah, we'll talk tools.
So if you're out there thinking about starting a faceless YouTube channel, what are the essential things you need to get started?
Well, the good news is it's not as complicated or as expensive as you might think.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing, and this is probably the most important, is a good microphone.
Right. Audio is key.
Absolutely, because your voice is going to be front and center.
Right.
You want to make sure it sounds clear and professional.
And there are so many great options out there these days that don't cost a fortune.
Right. Exactly.
And then, of course, you're going to need video editing software.
Yeah, you need something to put it all together.
Right. And there are some really powerful programs out there like Adobe Premiere Pro and Final Cut, but those can be pretty pricey.
Yeah, but there are also some excellent free options like DaVinci Resolve.
Oh, yeah. DaVinci Resolve is amazing.
It's incredibly powerful for a free program.
And then if you're planning on doing tutorials, you'll definitely need some screen recording software.
Right, you got to be able to capture what's happening on your computer.
Exactly. And OBS Studio and Camtasia are two that come up a lot.
Yeah, they're both great options.
And then, of course, you need visuals. Even if you're not showing your face, you still need something for people to look at.
Absolutely. And the good news is there are tons of resources out there for finding high-quality stock footage and images.
Yeah, websites like Storyblocks and Pixabay are great for that.
Oh, yeah, they have a massive library of stuff to choose from.
And then if you're interested in animation, there are programs like After Effects and Blender.
Blender is fantastic because it's free and open source.
Yeah, so you don't need a huge budget to get started with animation.
Not at all.
So you've got your tools, you're ready to go. But how do you actually create engaging content when you're not the visual focus?
Wait, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, so what are some of the key things to keep in mind?
One of the most important things is storytelling.
Oh, for sure.
No matter what kind of content you're creating, you need to have a strong narrative that draws people in.
Right, you need to give them a reason to care.
Exactly. And that's true whether you're, creating a gaming video or tutorial or an animated short.
And the visuals need to be top-notch as well.
Oh, absolutely, because that's what's going to capture people's attention initially.
Oh, right. And then you need to keep them hooked with a compelling story and high-quality audio.
And you always want to make sure you're delivering value.
Right. Give people a reason to watch.
Exactly. Whether it's entertainment, information, problem solving, whatever it is, make sure it's something that people will find worthwhile.
And music is a huge part of that too, right?
Oh, yeah, music can make or break a video.
I mean, it can really set the mood and enhance the overall experience.
And then, of course, there's the voiceover or narration itself.
Right, your voice is your instrument.
It really is, and you need to use it effectively.
So, think about your pacing, your tone, your clarity.
Make sure people can understand you, and that you're engaging to listen to.
But, even with all of that said, there are still some potential downsides to going faceless, right?
Yeah, there are definitely some challenges to consider.
Like, for example, you might miss out on those personal connections that some creators are able to build with their audience.
Right, because people naturally connect with faces.
Yeah. I mean, seeing someone's expressions and their reactions can really create a sense of intimacy.
Absolutely. And it can also make you more recognizable and memorable.
But there are ways to overcome those challenges.
Oh, for sure.
Like, for example, developing a really unique voice and tone can really help you stand out.
Yeah, it's almost like your voice becomes your brand.
Exactly. And then, creating a memorable intro and outro sequence can also help you establish a strong identity.
Right, something that people will recognize and associate with your channel.
And ultimately, it all comes down to consistency and building trust with your audience.
That's so important.
Yeah, if you consistently deliver great content that people find valuable, they'll keep coming back whether they see your face or not.
Exactly. It's about building a relationship with your viewers.
So, at the end of the day, I think creating a faceless YouTube channel can be a really fantastic option for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Especially for those who are camera shy or just want to focus on the creative side of things.
Right. It allows you to express yourself and share your ideas without having to put yourself out there in a way that might feel uncomfortable.
And it can be really liberating.
Yeah.
It's like saying, this is my work, this is what I'm passionate about, and I don't need to be the center of attention.
And it really makes you think, what kind of faceless channel could you create?
Right. What stories could you tell? What knowledge could you share?
Maybe it's something you've always wanted to do, but you've been holding back because of that camera shyness.
Maybe this is the push you need to just go for it.
Exactly, because you never know what you might be able to achieve.
Right. And who knows, maybe you'll even find that you enjoy it more this way.
Yeah. Maybe taking the focus off of yourself allows you to be more creative and more experimental.
And maybe you'll connect with your audience in a whole new way.
So there you have it. Everything you need to know to get started with creating a successful, faceless YouTube channel.
Go out there and create something amazing.
And remember, it's not about you, it's about the content.
Let your creativity shine through.
And most importantly, have fun with it.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for today's deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.